I have multiple projects to be doing, but I have to autistically rant about something real quick before I actually make any progress. Okay, so if you've taken a look at my channel or at any of my posts or anything like that, you'd understand that I am a real fanatic for Terrible Mouse. I love dystopian media. Dystopian media and horror media is like two of my big special interests. And Terrible Mouse is both horror and dystopian. Here's why. Okay, so it's so for starters, it's literally set in a Nazi death camp. Like, literally. The messages of the show is genocide kills kids. Nazis are bad. Nazis commit genocide, and genocide is wrong. Now, in order to actually reach these conclusions, you would, like, I'm not saying you have to be smart to like the show by any means. Like, this isn't like, I'm not gonna pull a Rick and Morty fan and be like, you have to be intelligent to enjoy the show. But what I am saying is you have to have surface level knowledge of politics, world history. You have to have surface level knowledge on fascism and like a basic level understanding of the Holocaust and how it works and like how it happened. Because largely, like, I'm going to sidetrack into why this is, into our main, into our antagonist that gets the most screen time, aka everyone's most recognizable fluffy little Nazi, Lorna. Lorna talks exactly like my grandparents. Like, to a T. To the point where it's actually kind of scary. And there's a reason why I cut them off. It's because every single time you bring up Hispanics, they start talking like Lorna. Saying that they're all dangerous and that they all need to be locked up and exterminated or whatever. And as someone who is part Hispanic, no thank you. I don't want to take part in that shit. Sorry, I'm too mixed for your bullshit. And because of the fact that I'm quite literally related to people who speak like Lorna, I can attest to you, Lorna is a very accurate representation of ignorant members of the neo-Nazi slash Nazi slash MAGA party. She is the representation of MAGA itself. Except in this universe, it's make animals great again instead of make America great again. Huzzah. What's more is, just like MAGA, Lorna refuses to change her mind even when evidence is put in front of her that her views are wrong. She refuses to view humans as people or as equals to her, even when evidence is put in front of her that they are and that her actions are wrong. She simply just refuses. Like my grandparents, and like just about anyone with far-right talking points that I have encountered out in the wild. And, like, as irritating as that is, it's also realistic to the point where I can appreciate it. I can appreciate that kind of writing because you can tell it's correct. Like, it's accurate enough to be realistic. What's more is, Lorna is also, like, pardon my sniffling and shit like that. It's like, I have a lot of drainage, but back to my rant. What's more is, Lorna is as socially aware as a member of the MAGA party. In the episode The Bullied Rabbit, like right after the bloodbath, the hospital owner just casually mentions creating new superpowered animals as if it were a regular Tuesday. You know, operating a eugenics program to play God on animals' genetics to create a master race. Right in front of Lorna. And she ignores it. Because because her idol is the one that said it. Instead of anyone else from the race that she wants to exterminate. Because one of the quote-unquote good ones said it. Which goes to show even further, like, genuinely, how accurate her writing is. Because every last member of MAGA that I have encountered would rather destroy themselves than to give other people their rights back. It's obscene, but it's accurate. Like, it's obscene, but it's realistic. And before people start getting offended, like, not everyone from the right, yeah, no, like, not everyone from the right is like that. Not everyone. I understand. If you have right-leaning views, that's fine. However, if you support Trump, yes, you are exactly like the white rat in the show that kills kids. Because that is the kind of shit that Trump himself advocates for. Not necessarily the destruction of all humans, but the destruction of every brown person, every queer person, every person who isn't Christian, etc., etc., etc. Well, actually, every person who isn't evangelical, etc., etc., etc. And moving on to a different character. Lema is a super accurate representation of characters people who were formerly who were brought up in the MAGA cult, but ended up having to unlearn that shit. While Lema's bio states that she generally will accept affection from anyone, even humans, and states that she has a fairly neutral view on humans, you can see in the very short clip right before the bullied rabbit was released that Lema completely solidifies her anti Nazi views after Dam gives her one fucking compliment. Basically, after she realizes that humans can in fact be kind and do offer more kindness than her peers, she realizes that it isn't necessarily how you're born or what you are or what you're born as that determines your morals, but actually your character and actions that do so. And because of that, she proceeds to risk her life in order to save Dam, even if it's for the selfish reason of just wanting a friend and wanting someone that actually wants to be nice to her, to actually, make it alive. It's she's still unlearning racist Nazi ideologies that she was taught as a small child from being mistreated by humans. Which, the very big thing that does eliminate ignorance, ignorance-based bigotry, is literally just interacting with minorities. It's just interacting with people you were taught to hate. I actually used to be very transphobic when I was still an egg, and when I started interacting with trans people in middle school, I was like, hey, you guys are pretty fucking cool. And the way you're describing dysphoria is kind of similar to how I feel. And honestly, well, shit, I shouldn't have been judging you guys. You were pretty cool. And that's because I actually interacted with these people that my extended family, the people I no longer talk to, taught me to hate. And now look at me, because I interacted with people instead of, because I touched grass and talked to people, I am now sitting here with a bat VTuber model yapping about a dystopian series. Although, before I continue, one writing flaw in the series that genuinely pisses me off is the fact that Lorna is basically immortal. I'm sorry, her only augmentation is the fact that she has retractable claws and she's fast as fuck. Where is her immortality coming from? She is literally the second weakest named character in the series, besides Pula, who has no superpowers at all. Genuinely, how is Lorna secretly William Afton or something? That is a complaint I have about the series. That is a big writing flaw. I do not like the plot armor of this I get it, she's an antagonist, she's supposed to be She's supposed to be a bad person, I get it. But, like, she's supposed to be an antagonist. She's supposed to fuel the plot. But at the same time, can you not make her immortal? Please. This thing has fallen from lethal heights, received deadly amounts of brain damage, and so on and so forth, and is functioning like normal. Oh my god. Shit. I need to move on. I need to move on to a different part of this. I need to move on to a different subject related to the series before I spend too much time yapping about the immortal creature that I so despise. Oh my god. Right. You don't necessarily have to be super smart to like the show. And I'm not saying you have to like the show either. This show just happens to be a part of two of my favorite genres of all time. Like Resident Evil. And why is Resident Evil dystopia, you ask? Because a zombie apocalypse happened due to corporate greed. That's pretty fucking dystopian. And something our US government would totally fucking do. If it makes them money, they would sacrifice the entire human race. Like, seriously, look at the shit the FDA approves. And try to tell me with a straight face that what I'm saying is false. They would rather kill us than sacrifice, like, 10 cents for every, like, $1 billion they make. Just saying. Back to Terrible Mouse. Like, you don't have to be intelligent to like the show, and you don't have to like the show. That's fine. Like, you can simply be uncomfortable with, like, child murder and stuff. That's fine. Like, genuinely. I'm not gonna hate on you for being, like, the, like, things that are being depicted are making me uncomfortable. Your safety is important. Like, even though knowledge and media literacy is super important, so is your safety and your well-being. Don't watch things that will trigger you. Like, I'm very big on please do not trigger yourself for the sake of knowledge. That's the reason why I haven't read a lot of the Epstein files. Because the things I have read have damaged my mental health to the point where I felt queasy and, like, couldn't really, like, leave myself alone with my thoughts for days on end after reading some of that shit. So, like, if something is legitimately just too brutal and too triggering, don't watch it. Seriously. However, to people saying that Terrible Mouse shouldn't exist because of the brutal themes that it shows off, at this point, you're just being an apologist. You're being an apologist to the most oppressive fascist party that has been created and is trying to rise up again. Because guess what? It's set in a death camp! The show, its setting, is a death camp. There's gonna be genocide and child murder in a death camp. Obviously, it's going to be violent and brutal, and you're supposed to hate the Nazi party. You're supposed to hate the genocide that's happening because the kids didn't even do anything wrong. That's the whole point of the first episode. You're supposed to go into it with as much knowledge as our main character, Robbie. My baby, my hamster-looking child. You're supposed to have as much knowledge as he does, episode 1, so that you and him are equally as caught off guard when the genocide starts happening in front of you. You're supposed to feel just as betrayed. Because, guess what? Guess what? Predators will put themselves in positions that seem safe. And predators / right-wing psychopaths will put themselves in positions where they can oppress the groups that they want to oppress. For example, Like, for example, child predators putting themselves in positions where they can be trusted with children, like being teachers or coaches or doctors. This is a very common trick that, like, genocidal psychopaths will use. In fact, it's actually a fairly common occurrence with things like fake protests and fake groups. Right-wing psychopaths, specifically the genocidal ones, I'm just going to call them MAGA to avoid confusion. MAGA psychopaths will put up, like, fake information, fake signs, fake, like, basically for a fake protest, so that the very few people who do join because they trust the information, aka minorities who are protesting, presumably against fascism, end up getting jumped and severely damaged and severely hurt. Because that's just what MAGA does. They're too cowardly to actually, like, take on people their own size. So they just go after people weaker than them. And guess what? Lorna depicts that perfectly by creating an environment that seems like it's safe for kids. It seems like a little doctor's room where kids go in and when they feel sick and they come out feeling better, blah, 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 blah. Only when you actually go in there, you die. Brutally. Via hate crime. Because the doctor isn't a doctor. She's a racist. It's literally the furry KKK. I could go on with other hate groups / genocide groups to compare the hospital to. I can go on. There's a reason why it's realistic, because groups like this have risen up in the past and they have done shit like this. And to say, oh, this show is nothing but gore and nothing but violence, you, good sir, if you say that and genuinely believe that, you, good sir, you lack media literacy. Come back when you've developed a brainstem and the ability to comprehend material, and the ability to comprehend fictional media when you consume it. Because it isn't even that difficult to read into. It's literally a very, very thinly veiled metaphor. Like, the metaphor is so thinly veiled that my autistic ass picked up on this shit, okay? If even I can pick up on a metaphor, I'm pretty sure you can too, buddy. I believe in you, buddy. But still, I digress. Like, I freaking love this show. I love it a lot. I strongly recommend it if you have the guts, because it is gory, it is violent, as it should be, because it's about Nazis, and Nazis are a violent group, and Nazis are a violent hate group who are, genocidal, and they hate everything except for themselves. In fact, if you think about it, Nazis are actually a very, very accurate thing, a very accurate group to compare the animal hospital to, because the Nazis will kill everyone and everything except for themselves. And once everything else is gone, they'll probably implode on themselves, because they just need to find someone to hate. And if everyone they hate is dead, they'll find a new thing to hate, and a new thing to hate, and a new thing to hate, until everything is gone. Wait a minute. I mentioned something previously. This is a completely unscripted autism rant, by the way, but I mentioned something previously, the eugenics in the animal hospital. Yes, there's a fucking eugenics program. This is another reason why I think the show's about Nazis. Because the fucking eugenics program, basically, animals get experimented on, they're picked out, specifically selected, and, like, scientifically, like, and just fused with other creatures to create a ultra powerful race of beings. I'm pretty sure the only reason, despite gaining no superpowers and being extremely weak, the only reason Pula is still alive is because her brother probably would have like outright murdered the hospital owner if he disposed of her. That's literally the only reason. Because her brother turned out exactly like what the hospital owner intended. And that was terrifying. And that terrified the shit out of him. And he wanted his tools to be happy little tools. So, in order to keep his tools and soldiers happy and subservient, he obviously had to give them incentive to be happy and subservient little soldiers. That being, don't piss off the thing that can kill you. Yes, I hate Pula's brother and I'm glad he's dead. I fucking hate his ass. He's disgusting. I hope he fucking dies. Actually, he does die, but like, I'm glad he's dead, and I hope he dies again. I hope he dies again. I want to see a scene of him in hell. I genuinely hate his ass. Like, I want a scene of his ass in hell. But yeah, there's a fucking eugenics program that the hospital owner plainly admits to. And it's just, like, it's the same level of not even bothering to hide this shit. It's insane. It's the exact same level of not even bothering to hide this bullshit. Which adds even more realism, because the people who do support Supreme Leader Orange Man in my country does this basically the same shit. Basically admits he's a goddamn racist, fascist, bigot, etc., etc., and there's people out there still defending him. They're the exact idiots that Lorna's character was created to criticize, by the way. And people, like, I know I'm circling back to Lorna quite a bit. She's an antagonist who gets a lot of screen time, so obviously there's a lot I have to say. But people who idolize Lorna because she's cute or something like that missed the goddamn point of her character. They missed it entirely. She's supposed to be a bigot. She's supposed to be MAGA. She is supposed to be the embodiment of MAGA. She is MAGA incarnate. For all of the reasons I had previously stated. Complete lack of social awareness, bigotry, genuine hatred towards everything except for her own kind, etc. Oh, and refusal to change her mind on anything political, even if there is enough evidence put in front of her to basically make her claim completely and entirely obsolete. And, like, if you want to be defending her ass, because, like, the Lorna defenders and me are completely different people. I like Lorna's character because she's an accurate depiction of a racist. The Lorna defenders like Lorna because they want to defend her actions. Like, I love this series, I love it so much, but also media literacy is a dying art. And that makes me so sad. Please, people, please, be more literate. And this is coming from the guy who struggles with spelling. And, like, this is coming from the guy who makes a lot of punctuation errors. Okay. I'll probably make another rant. I'll probably make another autism rant, when I have an actual script. But so far, this was completely unscripted. Thank you for listening to my God knows how long, thank you for listening to my God knows how long rant about a series that I really, really like. I love you all, my Moelings. Like, 400... I want to celebrate 406 subscribers. I just have no motivation to animate right now. And I'm like about to start reading 1984 out loud to y'all's. Um, like I'm about to start production of that. Uh, like I love you all. I love you all. I'm making a heart gesture, but you can't see it because my VTuber model doesn't do that. Um, I love you all, my moilings. Thank you so much for your support. Genuinely, it means everything to me.